I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 213. And today I thought what I would do is really just share some things from an audio that I'm actually listening to. And you guys are welcome to listen to it with me. Maybe we'll share some ideas throughout the rest of the month on the audio, but it's by Tony Robbins, and it's called Unleash the Power Within: Personal Coaching to Transform Your Life. And it's a live event that was recorded, and it's really, really powerful. A lot of great ideas. And I thought that I'd just share a couple of those ideas with you all today, because I think it's so powerful and it's something that's so necessary and so needed. And so one of the things that he talks about is so many gems, so many nuggets that I got. And by the way, let me just say this. You know, anytime, this is just something that I would suggest, just as Code Freedom listeners, is because, we kind of have the same way of thinking. We're thinking about getting better. We're thinking about our lives of freedom and things of that nature. Well, when you get some great ideas, you want to capture those ideas. Capture those ideas and store them as best as you can. So when I'm reading a book, when I'm listening to a podcast, when I'm listening to an audio, I don't care if I'm listening to YouTube, I try as best as I can not to just listen, but I always want to take notes on it. Because you may have heard it said, I always trust a short pencil over a short memory, right? And so just understanding that we're not going to necessarily remember everything we heard, but if we write it down, what's happening actually is, as we're writing it down, it's like we're saying it as we're writing it, we're seeing it as we're writing it, and so it just gets into our memory a lot better when we write things down. So I just want to share that. But anyway, that was way off subject. I just thought I'd share that because, I want to give y'all everything. I want to give you the juice. I want to give you this all the juice I can. So, but anyway, let me jump right in and just share this. He talked about one of the number one skills to have in terms of influencing the quality of your life, and that's what we're all about here with Code Freedom, is to live the good life. And so one of the best skills to have is the ability to manage your state. And what that simply means is, learning how to control your emotions, because your emotion is very, very, very important. See, your emotion, or you could call it your state, it determines the decisions that you're going to make. And the decisions you make, it determines what you're actually going to do. And if you're in the wrong state, then you'll make the wrong decisions. And of course, you'll either do the wrong things or you won't even take action at all. Inaction is action, because if you don't take action, then you're potentially moving away from your goals, you're away from the things that you want to accomplish. So we have to change our state, how we feel. And so, like, for instance, so often I feel like we are driven by all the outside circumstances to dictate how we're going to feel. So a lot of times we even look to our spouse to determine how we're going to feel. We want our spouse to make us happy. And I'm sure I talked about this on the episodes, on any of the previous episodes, but look, it's up to us to make ourselves happy, right? It's not anyone else's responsibility for our happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, your spouse should add to your happiness. However, they shouldn't be the sole responsibility of your happiness. Your happiness needs to come from within. Your happiness needs to be created by you. And to be honest with you, happiness is really more of a perception, in my opinion, because two people could have the same thing happen, and both of them can look at them differently. One person could say, "Hey, I'm so mad that this happened to me," and the other person can say, what's good about this? What can I do to learn from this?" Like the same exact scenario. I laugh because my wife and I are completely different as it relates to driving, and I just laugh because I mean I could be on the phone with her and she's ready to just go off on the car that cut her off or the car that did whatever, and I'm just like, is it that serious? But for me, like somebody cuts me off or somebody does something wrong, like I may not even honk because why should I put my energy and attention to it? I mean, that's just my thought process. That's just kind of how I'm wired. I understand everybody's not that way. And I'm not even trying to convince you to be the way I am. I'm simply trying to get you to understand that you must control your state. You must control your feelings. You must control your peace. You got to keep your peace. And we have to kind of like it's almost like a match that we light, and we can call that match or light our happiness, and we want to protect it. We don't want anything to blow it out. We want to make sure that we protect it and keep it lit, right? Because if someone else blows it out, then we constantly have to manufacture a way to manufacture a way to light it again. But if we could just light that fire and just keep it lit. So let me just give you some examples. Um, some ways to make sure that you maintain a state. Well, you've heard it said motion creates emotion. So just understand that like I love something that he said that I thought was so powerful. He said that we don't get depressed, we do depressed. Think about it. Like when your whole physiology in terms of the way your body is a lot of times it could dictate your state. And I'll give you a perfect way to kind of help change that. So let's just say that something happened to you or you're just not in a really good space. The next time that you're in that situation, and I learned this from Tony Robbins a long time ago, and hey, I forgot about it, but it's something that is powerful. So if you're in a bad situation, I want you to look up at the ceiling, and then I want you to put a big old grin on your face, and I want you to just burst out with the biggest laugh that you could. Like just do it and watch. I mean, there's no way you can smile and laugh and still be in a situation of depressed or be mad or be angry. So see, we can control it, but so often he said that an emotion, um, any emotion you're feeling is a pattern. So if we can have a pattern of bad emotions, what if we could shift that and have a pattern of good emotions? And a lot of times we're triggered by certain words, and then it causes us to go in a certain pattern. Hey, I do it. There are times where I'll just keep it real with you. There are times where my wife may say something, and I may be triggered by it because of how it was said, even though it may have not have even had anything to do with me. But I felt like it was I may have felt like it was an attack. I may have felt like it was meant toward me when she was just maybe just sharing her feelings and it had nothing to do with me, but I may have felt like somehow it did have something to do with me. You get what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is so that was a feeling that I would have gotten, and it was because I was triggered. So if I could just identify, I think the first thing to changing these emotions and catching these emotions is to be aware. Once you're aware that the emotions actually exist, then we can change it, because then we can simply say, hey, um, man, when this person said that, I kind of got a little triggered, but because I noticed it, I'm going to switch the pattern up. I'm not going to allow myself to feel that way. I'm going to choose to feel this way. You get what I'm saying? And so, trust me, it's a work in progress. It's not easy. This is, I mean, if you think about these patterns, these are patterns that have happened from years and years and years. Some of us 20, 30, 40 years of a pattern, and you think it's gonna be fixed overnight? Not at all. Every episode we talk about stretching ourselves and growing ourselves and becoming better. And I get it. You're busy, you're on the go. You don't always have time to stop and maybe read a book. Well, listen, I got the perfect thing for you. You're probably familiar with Audible. Audible is an audiobook service from Amazon, and they offer the world's biggest selection of books. I'm talking any book that I've recommended, and I've recommended a lot. You can get that book and you can listen to it on the go while you're in the car. Why not turn your car into Drive Time University? And for just for listening to this podcast, you can get your first 30 days free on us. So go to audibletrial.com/code freedom. That's audibletrial.com/code freedom. And we'll also put that in the show notes. But once we can identify and be aware of it, at least we can be on the path to changing it. So again, this whole talk that I'm talking about here today is learning to control our emotions, learning how to maintain the state that we want to have. You know, I always say this: act the way you want to feel, and then you'll feel the way you act. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I've ever learned in my entire life. And this was years ago by a man named John Addison. And he said, act the way you want to feel. So that means that it's almost like I'm an actor, and I'm acting as if I am this, even though I may not be that at the moment. But if I act that way long enough, again, motion, meaning I'm acting, so motion creates emotion. And I could dive so much more deep into this subject in this conversation, but I just want us to understand that we get to be the rulers of our lives, not somebody else, not CNN, not what you saw on Facebook, not what your spouse said, not even what your kids said, not what your boss said. Nobody else should be able to disrupt our peace. Now, don't get me wrong. People can say things. I'm not saying that you're going to be bulletproof to everything that happens in your life. That's not being human. But don't stay in that place. Feel that, maybe you give yourself permission to have a little pity party for a minute, and then switch it. Identify and switch it up, and decide and choose how you want to be instead of how someone else wants you to be. So once you understand this, see, feeling is a big part of the attraction. Feeling is a big part of the bringing things into your reality, manifesting things. Because the more you feel it, good or bad, the more you get of that thing. So if you feel joy, if you feel happiness, if you feel gratefulness, you tend to attract more of those things that you feel. Because then the body starts to eventually say, once you've started to switch the pattern up, your body starts to eventually say, hey, we've felt this way before. We like this feeling. Let's feel more of these feelings. And then your mind, you will always find evidence to support what you believe. So if you believe a certain thing, you'll look for evidence of those things, and then you'll get more of those things, and you'll start to attract and identify. Remember we talked about the reticular activating system, I think on the last episode. That's going to happen, where we're going to start seeing more opportunities for us to be happy, and for us to feel a certain way, because we have decided to be that way, and then it became the new pattern, not the pattern that was given to us, not the pattern that we modeled, because sometimes we pattern after our parents. And it wasn't even something that they said. It was something that was more caught than taught. It was something that we saw mom go through this, and then mom immediately did that. And then you picked up on it, and then you started doing it. Or dad, or brother or sister. It doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, like, we have well over 60, 70 thoughts a day, and the majority of them are negative. And the majority of them are patterns of thought that are subconscious. So if we could just be conscious of our subconscious, then man, oh man, can we start to change things in our lives? If we could be aware of these patterns that are going on autopilot because of when we were children. So it's deep. It's real deep. And so I get excited about these things because I've been on a journey myself of changing my mind and changing my life, and that's why I want to share these things with you. So I hope you got some value from episode 213 of Code Freedom. And look, we're gonna have some guests on the show coming up, so stay tuned. And I appreciate you guys as being podcast listeners. And I hope you guys get tons and tons of value. Don't forget to join our Facebook group. Hey, listen to the audio with us and let's talk about it. Let's drive some engagement because I love to hear from the audience of what you're getting from the book. And hey, who knows? I may even share some of the things that you're getting on the podcast and even give you a shout out. So God bless you all. Take care, take charge, and we'll see you over the top. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.